episode 19.
Welcome to the Teaching Bites podcast, our unprofessional development resource to take your teaching to the next level. Here are your hosts, Fred and Sharon Jaravada.
Hi, welcome to the Teaching Bites show. Her name is Sharon.
And his name is Fred.
And this show is all about taking your teaching to the next level with a bunch of tips, cool stuff, and other educational and teaching resources for you. On this episode 19, we're going to go over our very hugely, tremendously popular 19 tech skills every teacher must develop this summer 2015. But before we get into that, Sharon's going to go ahead and share some fun facts about the number 19.
All right. So 19, I thought about how we named this giveaway called the 19 Tech Skills. And I'm like, wow, this is the 19th episode, Fred, that we've
blown.
had.
Mind
blown.
Crazy.
Yeah. Another fact is that our 19th president of the United States is Rutherford B. Hayes. So something fun for you to chew on. All right?
And we have a Hayes Street here in San Francisco. Pretty popular street.
Is that who was named after, I assume?
Yep.
Well,
Right next to Fillmore Street and to Buchanan Street. All the presidents are at. Okay, so on to the 19 tech skills every teacher must develop this summer. Okay, so let's start how this all came about. So we have our blog, we have our website, and we have a Facebook page, a Teaching Bites page on Facebook. You can find us there. And we wanted to share a PDF for free about these important tech skills that every teacher should develop and really work on whenever they can, especially during the summer when a lot of us have a little more time to work on them. So we're going to break down these 19 steps or these 19 items so that we can give some more clarity. Because we found out once we shared it, people started asking more about it. And we need to clarify these 19 tips.
Yeah, so one good thing you should do right now is to go to our site, teachingbites.com/19 tech skills.
All lowercase?
Yeah, if you don't already have this PDF, you should actually look at that as you listen to this podcast to help guide you and see what we're talking about.
And again, that's teachingbites.com/19 tech skills.
And we'll put that in the show notes.
And that's going to be in the show notes. All right, so pull out that PDF, follow along, and let's break this down.
All right, here we go. Number 1, we talked about how to search on the internet for relevant teaching resources and research articles on different search sites.
Right. So that is pretty straightforward. Searching the internet, the huge, vast internet for information.
Using specific keywords.
Learning properly how to search for things properly or more efficiently, effectively, so you can get to the information as fast as you can. Sometimes when people search for things, they don't search the right keywords or they do it in a longer way, and it gets frustrating. So it's important to hone in to the keywords, but also if you notice, you can also type in questions into the Google search bar, and it'll do a pretty good job in finding the information that you need.
And actually, interestingly, I used to, I didn't teach that until this year. So I always told my kids keywords. I don't want a long string of questions. But now, so smart now, and they could do the right questions.
Yeah, Google's algorithm has gotten so much better. I've been doing that more often, just typing in questions, Because somewhere, someplace around the world, some other person typed in that question also. And with Google's automatic fill in or automatic, they finish the question for you, or they give you some
Right.
top 5 options to choose from when you start typing. It's amazing. I do that a lot.
Yeah, and
So-
it's really fast. It makes it really efficient.
But also, you should also try to do some tricks that Google teaches also how to use forums. Years ago, you can actually type in forums, and then you could type in the subject or the topic you want to look for. And it will go into all the forums in the world, I guess, and look for those keywords. There's another way to do that. I think Google has changed it into discussions. Now, what we're sharing with you right now in this number 1, the search thing is very important, but I'm going to hone it in, is that it does change. You'll notice it does change. It's going to be different again, maybe in a couple months, a couple weeks, couple months. Like if you type in our names, like my name, Fred Girovato, it's going to be different sometimes. So I check my name every so often on Google. So tons of information there. Let your kids. I tell my kids I show my kids how to effectively search information there. Right.
Yeah. Especially for teaching 3rd grade, they're starting to learn how to do that. So it's a very important skill.
Right. It's a skill, and I think colleges, or I think there's a movement of part of education saying that you don't need to memorize all these facts anymore because they're in your pocket, in your iPhone, your Android phone, Windows phone, even BlackBerry phone, whatever. But they're all there for you, so you don't really have to memorize these facts anymore. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I've also heard of this quote, and I really am taking it to myself. Well, the quote goes like this: your brain is for processing and not for storing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? It's
So
not for storing information.
So if I find some article, I figure out what to do with it.
Right.
Am I going to report on it? Am I going to just go, I don't need that right now, save it for later?
How do you
Am I gonna share it
evaluate
with someone? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's go to number 2.
All right. Number 2, very important, how to use citation tools and checking for plagiarism when you research.
Yeah, so that's obvious, information all over the world, but it's so easy to copy and paste things, right? It's so easy, and it's there is a laziness for students to just copy and paste things and hoping that their teachers didn't see that. Have you experienced that?
I was going to tell you, I read one of my students' informational reports, and I knew that was not her writing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I asked her.
How can you tell? It just wasn't
Because
her.
it wasn't. It was. It's not how she writes. It's
Right.
It's totally more advanced than a third grader can write.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her, and I said, "Is this your writing?" She's like, "Uh huh." I'm like, "Let's go check." And I think I forgot to cross check it. But at that age, it's very easy and tempting to just copy, and they don't know, so you have to teach them to give credit. So citing, which is kind of cool. We'll talk more about that in Google Docs. You can cite right from that on that page.
No, you're going to cross-check it. How would you cross-check it?
I might take the text and type exactly what I see into a search.
In Google, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll find it, right?
Or I could ask her where she got it from, and then we could cross-check it that way.
Right.
But they might not remember.
You copy and paste. That's one thing. There are professional tools for teachers, for universities, and I think high schools and universities, they use something called turnitin.com. They use that. I have not really used that much. I would probably use it twice.
What is that?
It's basically it checks word for word the content that you copy and paste, or you upload a document, right? A student work, and then it will scan your the student's work, and then it will look for patterns or look for things that are very similar out there already.
Do you have to pay for that?
At Turnitin.com, you have to pay for it. Now, there is a free version alternative called Grammarly. I only used it a couple times also. Grammarly. That's another thing. You can actually install it from your Google Chrome extension.
Oh, wow.
So,
Cool.
yeah, it's not as robust as Turnitin.com. A lot of the high school teachers that I've seen, they love it. They love that. They love that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of universities use that also.
Smart.
I might be wrong, but yeah, but that's more of a
Maybe I should try that.
You have to pay for that, and that's a subscription, and I think it's fairly expensive. So I don't know, but check that out.
Okay. So number 3, how to use productivity apps like GAF, Google Apps for Education, Apple productivity apps like Keynote, Pages, and Microsoft Office.
Sweet. Yep. So what do you think about that, Sharon?
So those are great tools no matter what platform you have to use to create your own worksheets, interact with colleagues,
Creating
download
letters,
things,
creating letters, creating brochures,
presentations, spreadsheets, forms. I mean, really important to learn those. Because now, I mean, my principal, we communicate primarily through email. Other principals in the past has been a lot of paper. So you're expected to know how to download something from an email, and maybe you need to convert it or things like that and write back and collaborate in a document. So very important skill to have.
Yeah, like 10 years ago, everyone was using Microsoft Office, it seemed, right? They were using that. So Google's GAF and the Apple productivity apps, they are now like the basic default tools for students and teachers for the education world, it seems. Now, I know other people will say OpenOffice, and they'll say the other Zoho or other alternatives, free alternatives. Yeah, that's open source stuff. So I know that. But GAF by Google and the Apple productivity apps they're just everywhere in all the machines now.
Yeah, and especially no matter what kind of school you're in, you probably do have Chromebooks or iPads or MacBooks. So those are the tools students are using. And, in order for you to be able to teach them how to use it, it's important that you know it yourself.
Right.
Okay?
It's good to know that. Now, what do I prefer? I love Google because it's fast, it's simple. But Apple products like Apple Pages and Keynote, much more elegant, much more beautiful. You could do so much more. If I had more time to prepare and do like a talk or some kind of a huge lesson that maybe I'm going to be observed by a supervisor, then I would use like the app, Pages or
Keynote.
I would use those. It's much more elegant.
It
much
is.
more beautiful.
It is beautiful.
More robust. You can do more, especially on the iPad. You can do more. Obviously, Apple iPad, Apple productivity tips. You can do much more on that. It's easier to move around pictures with the words wrapping around automatically. Can't do that in Google app on the iPad.
True.
So.
I mean, in my context, I'm just so happy that every kid has their own Gmail account.
Right.
So
yeah.
This is. For me, I'm like, this is so awesome to have.
And then Google's great, man. You could collaborate. I think that's one of the best things ever.
Right. So.
Okay, that was number 3?
Yeah, number 4 now. So how to create, organize, edit, and publish multimedia content using Apple Creative Apps. We just mentioned.
Well, that's different. When number 3 was the Apple Productivity Apps. This one's called the Apple Creativity Apps.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
With me? One's
Yeah.
productivity. This one's about creative apps. This one's all about GarageBand, iPhoto, iMovie. It's all about creating with images, film. Since the Apple iPad has a camera, and you can walk around with it. It has a front camera and a back camera. You can create movies, which is great. That's where I think it's actually better. That's the pros that the iPad has that the Chromebooks don't.
Right. I mean, you could get extensions.
You get an extension, but there is no forward camera and the back camera. Well, there's one camera pointing to the student, facing the student, but it's not pointing out.
Right.
So it's a little more awkward.
Right.
But going back to number 4, using a creativity app like the Apple creativity apps, I think that's key. You know, a pictures is what it's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
And video is worth 1,000,000 words, right? So those are important. You know, how to create with those tools. Another one is GarageBand, which that's how we produce our podcast. We do editing, we record it, we do editing into GarageBand, and that's how we can share audio. One tip with GarageBand, I tell teachers all the time, use GarageBand so you can record your students in their English language, whatever they're testing or in their assessments, right? Or use it as a reflection time for the students to talk about whatever they're reading or learning.
And then they can also edit that on their own once they learn how to do it.
Right. So you get to learn about timing and all about how to looping and how to edit things. It's an amazing tool, and they're free. They're all free with the iPad. So and the MacBook also.
Okay, number 5. So how to back up files
This is
locally
huge
in the cloud using iCloud or Google Drive, etc.
Right. So it's July now. About a month ago, I was helping a lot of teachers transitioning into new machines. But before they had to do that, they had to back up all their stuff into an external drive or the cloud. I prefer the teachers and everyone else to back up their stuff into the cloud and not to a USB jump drive or an external
hard drive.
Those things, first of all, the USB jump drive or flash drives and the external drives, those are things that can break down. They do break. They are susceptible to drops. They can break.
And you could lose them.
They could lose them. They could get stolen easily, or they just don't work. I mean, I've experienced that. It just doesn't work. Some external drives, they won't work after a couple years. And I have pictures on there since like 2004, 2003. It's a great thing to have if you don't have a cloud service, but you definitely need to go up to the cloud service. Now, what is cloud service? It's basically saving your files, images, and so on, to an offsite computer. In this case, saving it into Google's servers, Google's computers, or Apple's computers, Apple's servers, which we call the cloud. It's not real, like floating in air.
No,
it's being backed up into their servers, and those are backed up into other servers around the world. And that's how we use the cloud.
So that means if you're trying to find a picture, like, you know, our son's turning 5 years old tomorrow, and we'll find a picture of when he was born or something,
right,
then we can just search in the cloud. And what that means, we could go on any computer that has an internet connection and look on
any
our
phone, any device,
on our maybe our Google Photos folder, or maybe our iCloud folder. So you can get it anywhere, and it's great because you don't have to always bring your clunky things with you. And actually, back a couple years ago, I wasn't on the cloud yet, but you convinced me. At first, I felt like it's kind of weird, you know, but I love it now. I love it now. Everything's up there. I don't need to worry about where this document is. I have everything there. Especially as a teacher, I can get it from the cloud for anything I need.
Right.
Wherever
so
I am.
I've helped a few teachers and last month, and a lot of them didn't want to back up their stuff into the cloud. I mean, they had stuff since 1999, 1998, and they don't want to get rid of it. And that's understandable. I understand that. And I don't want them to lose that. That's why I encourage them to let's at least back it to an external drive, get a new machine, and then put it in your new machine. You know what I mean? But I would definitely always still badger them. Please back it up to the cloud.
Is it a hesitation because they don't understand the concept of the cloud? Like they think it's going to be gone forever?
And I think it's a privacy issue. They hear these privacy
hacks
every so often on the news. One, are you that special? Two, but I understand that everyone has the right to
privacy. Of course,
privacy,
that's understandable.
But the way I see it, I'd rather save my stuff up in the cloud with Google, or Facebook, or Apple. They have better computers than we do. They have better technology than we do. They have engineers who are working on them 24/7 all around the world. They have lawyers. They can sue people. They can. They're pretty transparent in about protecting their customers, us. They're pretty transparent about that. Google's pretty transparent. Apple is pretty transparent in that sense. But obviously, they're still companies. So I suggest try to save the ones that you will need in the future. Save it in the cloud. Okay? But before you need to save everything to the cloud, you got to know this is how the companies make money. They will give you, like if you have a personal account, they'll give you 5 gigs or 10 gigs for free. That's nowhere near enough to save all your pictures. If you have like hundreds or thousands.
Right, and plus videos take a lot more. Yeah.
Right? That's how they get you. You got to pay a fee. But, the fee is like $2 a month for like 20 gigs or it's pretty cheap.
Very cost effective.
It's cheaper now. It's getting much cheaper, which I'm actually impressed with. Now, having said that, you got to delete all these different, like 25 pictures you took in a row. Get rid of the 24 that you don't need, right? I mean, I'm guilty of that too. When I take pictures, since they're digital, I take 20 in a row, 10, 20 in a row, and I keep them. And they're getting back to my cloud. That takes space.
Maybe it's a good idea to every time you every day or every week, just comb through and quickly.
I say every month or so. It's not people don't have time. My coworkers, I talk to them. I tell them, take one day this summer, get a bottle of wine, and go over all the pictures that you want to keep and get rid of the ones you don't need. Organize them into folders, into different years and so on. Tag them as well.
Actually, you know what? A good tip is when I take photos of my class, like students, and I put pictures up on my blog for parents to see. I don't need to save those anymore on my drive because it's already on my website. So I just delete those pictures. So I've already given the summary of that event or the field trip. So then it helps save room too.
Right. And with that also people save it in the cloud and you can share certain things, files and pictures and video with parents. Not everything, obviously, but the ones that that the parents will appreciate. Right?
Okay. So number 6.
That was number 5, and now we're number 6.
So how to use learning management systems, or people call LMSs. And this was actually one of the ones that stood out on our one question survey. People want to know about Google Classroom. I know you use eBackpack or Haiku.
We use Haiku. Yeah, we started with eBackpack, and we moved on to Haiku Learning.
Right. So this year, since our school's a GAF school, I learned about Google Classroom. And, I haven't used it to its full potential yet, but I started using it to have students turn in assignments to me. I use it also to post videos or some interesting thought-provoking questions for them to show like a stream of thoughts, kind of like a Facebook feed kind of thing. So I can see the potential, how awesome it is to have students just turn their work in, collaborate, and somewhere to park everything. You could create your own documents, put it up there, And it's just a central place to put everything. So it's great for grading.
So what does the district have you do? What does your school have you do with your students with Google Classroom? Like grades, attendance? And
Not attendance, but you can grade their work on it. Again, you could, like I said, collaborate, homework assignments. Right. I do projects.
Right.
But, I really did minimal things, but I like the stream in the middle. Like, I put up a cool video of kid president and what does this mean to you? And the kids could see each other's responses and,
It's similar to like Facebook if you guys are not familiar.
Similar, right.
It's like that, right.
And then if you're a middle school teacher or above, you could create one classroom, meaning like if you have period 1 science, period 2 math, you could create a separate class for each of those.
So in a student point of view, how would it look like?
I don't know that. I think you asked me that a couple weeks ago. I don't know what that looks like.
I'm assuming it's this, so I have my science period 1. I will see my science stuff in that feed, and also if I have my English period 2, then I will have that in my feed also.
I'm pretty sure they could see that. That wouldn't make sense to not be able to see that.
That's how they get their homework and they get their notifications. Now, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that siren go by? Yeah, a siren went by. We're recording this at night. This is about 11 o'clock at night right now, and our boys are asleep, and they are in their rooms, and we're in the living room, and we're in the middle of the city. So
right by the fire department.
So you guys, I'm sure you guys hear this a lot. So, oh well.
Okay. Or anything else about LMSs, Fred?
Again, I think they're efficient. They can help you be efficient. It does take time to learn it, but I suggest pick one thing. If you're going to do grades, do grades. If you're going to do attendance on them, do attendance. If you're going to do just assign homework, use that way. Now, it depends in your school. Double check the policy with your school, what the expectations are for your the management system you're using. But I really suggest try one small thing and become good at it. Then move on to the next thing.
Right. Good tip. That's what I've been trying to do. Okay, number 7. How to use basic video and picture editing like Google Photos,
software, right.
Apple Photos, Flickr, etc.
Right. So this is a little bit similar to the number, the creativity one, but number 4. It's similar. However, this is definitely for video and pictures, right? And definitely need to learn the basic skill of cropping a picture, zooming into a picture, cropping the rest you don't need, hiding things on the picture, how to color correct it.
How to blur backgrounds if you want to, not show certain people's faces, maybe for security reasons.
How to also add words to it. You can use these tools to create, a jumping point for making a hook for your students. Like I would take a picture of, say, the Blue Angels flying, if I can take that picture. And I'll just take that picture. I'll hide something from, I don't know, whatever it is on there. Or I would put another picture on there, like superimpose a bird on there or whatever. And then I would ask the question. And that will be my jumping off point for my students.
Right.
Probably not a good example, the Blue Angels and the bird, but I think you guys get it,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. And or if you're making a lesson, creating one in a Keynote or something, and you want to put like a picture, like you just said, into...
Just to spark their curiosity, right?
Yeah.
Engage them, right?
Right.
Now, Dan Meyer, that we talked about a few episodes ago, he takes pictures and, and he would, he's a math teacher, and he would take a picture of, prices, and he would take 2 pictures and have his students compare those prices and say, 20% off, and which would be a better deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Or he would hide a percentage, and he would, a receipt, and then he'll ask his students, what is the sum, or what is the variable that would go there that will add to the sum or difference?
Yeah, and his website, 101qs.com, 101 questions. Mm-hmm. It's all videos and pictures to help students, think critically about, just shows a picture and the question is, what's the first thing comes to your mind? So that's something you could do with your class. And I do that too.
And Google and Apple, they finally changed their, Google Picasa, it's now Google Photos, Apple iPhoto. You'll notice now it's called Apple Photos. They're streamlining their branding.
It's so confusing.
It is confusing. I know, it's crazy. I try to teach that, and it's like, I don't. Yeah. Things move around. Things are disappeared. There are new things. Just gotta bear with it and just try to find, a good workflow.
And there's no more camera roll. You told me today.
Yeah, there's not a camera roll.
What is it called now?
Photos.
Okay.
You're right. I know it's kind of weird, but yeah,
okay.
It changes. That's the one thing about technology. Mm-hmm. It changes all the time. You're just going to catch up with it. Yeah. And unfortunately, teachers are already pressed for time, and they don't have time to learn all these tips and tricks. But that's why you're here with us.
Yes, and thank you for listening and being faithful. So number 8 is great. How to organize digital files and documents using Google Drive or Apple iCloud or Dropbox, etc.
Or whatever you use, yeah.
So we talked about, in number 5, how to back up files. So
this is how to organize the files you backed up.
Putting it in one of those, like I said, Drive or iCloud, but folders, how to label them.
Color code them.
Right. Teachers, as a teacher, I put it in by subjects or by projects. You could do it by months, many ways to do it. So you can easily find it.
Right. Yeah. And so, making it into a dump folder, like a class folder that you just dump things. The students get a copy of that. They get it, make a copy, and they rename it with their own names. That's hugely helpful because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's difficult or tricky to put a copy of the same file into each other's folders. It's changed again a couple of weeks ago, but that's something that I can show you in a video coming up. If you subscribe to our 19 tech skills in the beginning of the show that we mentioned, that website, in that link, and we'll have it in the show notes, then you'll get that video. Mm-hmm. It's coming up.
Yeah.
All right, I'll show you how to do that.
Right, and that's why Google Classroom is cool, because you could assign a project or assignment to students, and everyone gets their own copy. Mm-hmm. It's like passing out paper, but you're digitally passing it out.
But you got to make sure that they have to rename the copy because you shared it with them.
It does that already.
Oh, in Google Classroom? Uh-huh. Oh, perfect.
It's so cool.
Never mind. So they don't have to make a copy anymore, right? Good.
I do it. But anyway, that's another day of learning. All right.
We got to make a video of Google Classroom.
Yes, I think we should.
Yeah, I think that'll be a very helpful video for everyone.
Right. Okay, number 9.
How to evaluate quality student sites and resources.
So, as a teacher, it's important to know if you're going to teach a research project or some informational writing, you need to know some good websites or resources for your students to refer to. What are good ones? What are ones that are reputable, that have good facts? It's not a bogus site.
Right. How once I set them into the wild, like I can also give them like a list of here are the websites you can go to that are, I know these will work. But I'm also trying to push the envelope a little bit more, where just let them go without me telling them where to go. Throw them into the wild of the internet and have them evaluate these sites. Is this a secure site? Is this site legit? How can you tell it's legit?
What's that site that you showed me the other day about the octopus?
Save the Octopus Tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old trick that teachers would send their students to go to this site called Octopus Tree, and we'll have it in the show notes too. And it looks legit. At that time, mind you, this is like 2005, 2006. And the students thought it was real. There was a real octopus that lives in a tree. Now, I know on the side there is an octopus tree, something like that, but this is a real octopus living in a tree. And it had resources, it had citations and all that, and the students immediately thought it was real. So it was pretty interesting, but then we showed them how to really break it down. It's not real.
Yeah, so
That's it. Yeah, it's called, what is it called, Sharon?
it's called
The Pacific.
the Help Save the Endangered Pacific Northwest Tree Octopus, and it's zapatopi.net/tree octopus, which I'll put in the show notes.
Yeah, it's really
But
interesting.
it looks real. I mean, what grade level did you do this with?
I think it was like the 3rd or 4th grade. Or even maybe older, maybe 5th and 6th. But this happened at least 10 years ago. And, the kids thought it was real. There's lots of content on there, lots of pictures. It looks real.
There's tabs on it.
There are tabs on there.
Captions.
So they thought it was real. Maybe I should send my kids there, at least a batch of kids to go there and have them check it out. But yeah, how to evaluate these sites? Go to the About page, the About Us page, how to see if it's legit. What's the contact number? Is it an HTTPS? Is it reputable? Are there any reviews? Are there any engagement from other people around the internet? Are there any comments? Those are huge. So,
Yeah.
and I teach that on Wikipedia. I start them off with Wikipedia. If they want to go Wikipedia, that's fine. But as long as they click on the citations, the superscript clickable link.
Well, it's important to tell the students that anyone
References.
can change anything on Wikipedia, that it's a good place to cross-check, but not the source.
It's not the source. It's like Google is not the source for your image that you pulled out.
Yeah.
No, it's not the source. You don't say you get it from Google. Nope.
Yeah, a lot of kids say that. Oh, I Google did it. No.
Nope. It's just an index. The Google index is the website.
So number 10, how to search and find appropriate active learning apps for your students.
So we know that Apple, the App Store is huge. The iTunes Store is huge. You have thousands and thousands of apps for students, But you have to vet these apps. Is it appropriate for them? Is there violence? Is there blood? Is there gore? Is it age appropriate? Is the language right? Even though it may categorize them, it's great for 3rd and 5th grade, up 3, 4, and 5th grade. It may not be. So you have to actually play with it. Right.
Well, shouldn't you also probably reference Common Sense Media? Don't they do that?
Right.
Reviews?
So Common Sense Media, it's another great site, and we talk about it all the time. And disclosure, I am a Common Sense Media educator. They break down all the apps and all the popular apps, at least, and sites and other resources for learning in their brand new site called graphite.org, I believe. You can find it through the commonsensemedia.org site called Graphite. And those apps are reviewed by teachers. Those are teachers reviewing these apps and websites. So there is a lot of accountability there.
And I love it because they also review movies, they review video games, they review books. So if you didn't know that, it's a great resource. Of course, they have great lessons for.
So one tip I see, I always go to YouTube to see if there's a video tutorial or some kind of video review about that app or that site or whatever, or I read the comments and the ratings of that whatever game.
Important.
Or software or whatever. I check YouTube, I read the comments, and I try to decide from there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And if there usually there's a free version, try it out. Try it out. Or ask anyone. So
Well, that takes us to number 11 then. We just talked about Common Sense Media. And what I was just saying is that there are, this one is number 11, sorry. How to teach students digital citizenship and literacy. And there's lessons for you about how to teach them what digital citizenship is, how to behave online. What students don't know is that things that they do can affect, their future if they post something on Facebook or Instagram, Snapchat, whatever.
The kids call it Insta right now.
Insta. Oh, Insta. I'm not that cool though.
I'm on Insta.
Oh yeah. So, figuring out also cyberbullying. Mm-hmm. People can just now text something so horrible.
Right. See, the kids
the
kids are all connected now. They're getting all connected to anywhere, anytime. They have iPads or computers in their bedrooms, but it shouldn't be. Turn off the password. Change the password or turn off the Wi-Fi, folks.
Mm-hmm. and yeah, you don't know what your kids are doing, like Fred just said, because they're in their room. And as a teacher, you definitely don't know what they're doing after school or at night. So it's important to teach them those skills.
Right.
Because it affects their social, emotional development, behavior, everything.
Now, again, you have to check with the policy of what happens. Are you responsible for websites that the kids go to outside of school property? Double check your school's policy.
All right. Well, that is our first segment of our 19 tech skills. And next week, please be on the lookout for our second episode where we go over the last 7 tech skills. All right. So thank you for listening and take care. Bye.
All right, guys. Bye. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Teaching Bites podcast at www.teachingbites.com.